Why so confused? If you were born between 1976 and 1985, don't stress. You're not lost, and you're definitely not behind. You're just living in two completely different worlds at once, and that's why life can feel a little messy sometimes. You remember summers without the internet, friends showing up at your house instead of texting, and being totally unreachable for hours. But then, seemingly overnight, smartphones, social media, and the digital world flipped everything upside down. That's the confusion everyone talks about. And it's perfectly normal. You grew up analog, passing notes in class, memorizing phone numbers, waiting at a payphone, recording songs off the radio on cassette, making mixtapes, even sneaking into arcades after school. That was your reality. Boredom wasn't something to escape, it was part of life. Then your late teens and early 20s hit, and suddenly everything changed. Friendster, MySpace, Facebook, texting, everything you knew about communication and connection flipped on its head. Who else remembers frantically rewinding a VHS tape before it chewed up, or slipping a handwritten note into a locker, hoping it got to your friend? Those small moments shaped your brain in ways that stick for life. Here's the thing about your brain. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning, decision-making, and adapting to new systems, keeps developing into your mid-20s. So while your brain was still wiring itself for adulthood, the world was rewriting the rules. Social norms, technology, even career paths were all changing. You were old enough to remember stability, but young enough to embrace rapid digital change. That creates a mental duality. Comfortable with change, but naturally skeptical. Raise your hand if that sounds like your life.
And then 2008 hit. Just as many of you were stepping into serious careers, maybe thinking about buying your first house, the financial crash struck. That timing leaves a mark. Economic instability in early adulthood shapes how people see money, risk, and security for decades. You adapt, you hustle, but part of you is always thinking, what if it all collapses again? That low-level anxiety isn't random. It's learned from real-world experience. You don't fully fit with Gen X stoicism, but you're not exactly aligned with millennial optimism either. You've got independence wired in, because nobody was tracking your every move as a kid. You figured stuff out on your own. But at the same time, you learned to navigate new platforms and digital life without panicking. Analog and digital. Skeptical, yet hopeful. Independent, yet collaborative. Living in contradiction isn't a flaw. It's literally the skill set your generation needed to survive a world that changed overnight. Comment below if you remember waiting for dial-up to connect before you could even check your email, or making collect calls to talk to a friend. Let's talk privacy. You grew up when embarrassing moments faded naturally instead of living forever online. That 7th grade haircut, that awkward party, that breakup, they weren't searchable. Your brain learned to store memories and let the unimportant fade. That awareness changes how you see your past and even how you interact online today. You value real connection, but you can handle tech without anxiety. That duality is rare. So what does confusion really mean here? It's not that you're lost. It's that your brain was trained to operate in two completely different paradigms at once. You crave stability but thrive in change. You appreciate patience but live in a world that demands instant results. That tension feels confusing, but it's actually a hidden superpower. Who else remembers scribbling a note, recording a song, or waiting for a payphone, all while navigating new digital tools? That skill of juggling analog unpredictability while mastering digital fluency is clutch.
Picture it like this. Your brain was running two operating systems simultaneously, analog and digital. You remember life before everyone was online, but you also adapted when everything went digital. That gives you perspective most people never get. You see trade-offs, understand risk, and adjust without losing yourself. That's why being confused isn't a flaw, it's a feature. So next time someone calls you confused, just nod and smile. You're not lost. You're layered. You adapted to one of the biggest cultural shifts in recent history and came out with a skill set most generations only dream about. Tag a fellow Xennial and see if they nod along too. Being transitional isn't a flaw, it's the ultimate life hack. And honestly, it might be one of the most valuable skills you've already mastered.